Content warning for suicide and mental health topics. I know it's silly to put this, but I want to make sure that others are safe. If you are uncomfortable with these topics, there are other videos on my channel. Enjoy the video. Mental health is funny until it becomes a meme, punchline, or a joke. For many celebrities like Demi Lovato, Robin Williams, Selena Gomez, and Halsey. To spend your life making others happy only to end it prematurely. Others say that your life isn't a book, don't end it. Others may even say that your skin isn't paper and not to cut it. But when we aren't stable, these are thrown out the window. 1 in 4 struggle with mental illness, and most suicide attempts are caused by mental illness. According to NAMI, 46% of people that pass away by suicide have a known mental health disorder like depression or anxiety. Those living with bipolar disorder have a 13-fold risk of passing away via suicide. Depression is the leading cause of suicide and the most silent due to the stigma associated with mental health. Those with anxiety disorders have a 5.8-fold risk of suicide. If it affects everyone, no matter your ethnicity, identity, orientation, class, or social status. I am Shan, aka Mysterions, and this is my story. I was first diagnosed with bipolar disorder back in August of 2024. I remember the day I was diagnosed clearly. I was in tears when I got my discharge paperwork. I called my mom the day I got my diagnosis after sensing that something was wrong. Already living with an anxiety disorder and being someone with autism and ADHD is a lot to deal with, and something that I was not ready to deal with in addition to my newly appointed bipolar disorder diagnosis. Approximately 2.4% of adults worldwide struggle with bipolar disorder. The average age of onset is 25, but it can affect anyone. People with the disorder have a higher rate of suicide, according to NAMI. It isn't just mood swings, it has a spectrum of symptoms and it looks differently for everyone. Like many mental illnesses, there is a lot of overlap with bipolar disorder and other disorders like ADHD, autism, and BPD. In fact, many autistic people get diagnosed with borderline personality disorder due to the overlap in symptoms associated with the two. I have had anxiety since I was a kid, and I was on and off Prozac my entire life, in addition to Adderall and ADHD medication. I briefly took it as an adult, but it did nothing to help my ADHD. My anxiety took a rough turn at the end of 2021 when I began suffering from debilitating intrusive thoughts and compulsions, like I was afraid that something bad was going to happen. This was the tip of the iceberg for me because little did I know that I was about to experience so much worse. During this time, I met my friend Tori, who shares similar struggles to me, like also having autism and intrusive thoughts. This was around the time that I started connecting with God in the spiritual realm. My family never went to church, but I formed a small prayer group with her. Which we still do to this day. She is one of the only friends that I have maintained and kept in contact with since we first met about 4 years ago. Thank you for being my friend, Tori, and God bless your beautiful heart. In a way, she felt like an older sister figure to me since I grew up without siblings. The year before, my parents divorced, and it was very traumatic for me. Knowing that what was once a happy family that got split into was very devastating for me. I was hopping back and forth between households, living full-time with my mom and her at the time boyfriend. During the time, her mental health took a nosedive, which led to her being diagnosed with bipolar disorder. Mental health can even affect the happiest of people or those holding down jobs. I started my first job in January of 2021, where I surprisingly still work as a bagger at a supermarket, which my mom also works at as well. My 18th birthday was traumatic, but that's a story for another day. I was scared of and didn't trust technology as I was afraid that something bad would happen. 2 months later, my bipolar disorder symptoms began to start. At first, I blamed my Prozac, which I had gone back on at the tail end of 2021. I even deleted my 5.5K art Instagram account to focus on myself 3 days before I turned 18. The main symptom for me was irritability and anger that had no cause, that would drag on and on. Sorry about that. I didn't know Prozac could cause manic or hypomanic episodes, which I didn't know about. I even closed down my Facebook account too to focus on myself as well, and at the start of 2022, I closed down my Gmail account in favor of a new one that I still use to this day. Another tipping point came when I convinced my dad to take me to Michael's, an arts and crafts store, to buy art supplies. I ended up buying over $200 worth of art supplies, and when I went to go pay for it, my card declined because I obviously didn't have 200 loaded on there. Causing a long line to form, my dad paid for the items annoyingly and gave me a talking to when we got home. I also experienced what I later learned was psychosis and grandiose delusions. It manifested for me as feeling like I was a godlike figure, a superhero, or even someone sent from the heavens to bless everyone. My confidence was inflated and I felt sky high. I was unmedicated for about 2 years for what I thought was Prozac Prozac side effects. During this time, I did not draw. I lost my creativity. I also never sought the help of a doctor as well until the start of 2024. Little did I know that the final boss was on the way. All throughout the rest of 2023, actually, I was unmedicated, and as a result, I had my first manic episode. It manifested as irritability, euphoria, and dysphoria, which I later learned is called a mixed episode, delusions, inappropriate anger, wanting to hurt my loved ones, anxiety, and suicidal ideation. It got to the point where I attempted suicide with no hope left to live. I met a friend who taught me that mental health awareness is important, but unfortunately, she ended the friendship 3 months later, which devastated me. I expressed to her mom that I suspected that I had bipolar disorder, which became true a year later. During this time, I spent all my money on Amazon purchases, which were mainly art supplies. I estimate that I caused about $3,000 worth of damage to my savings account, which I am working on recovering. My dad was mad at me and we had to return the packages, some of which we could not return. 6 months later, I began seeing a doctor for my anxiety that I was introduced to through my mom and her now husband. I was prescribed Bipolar to help the anxiety, and that was the start of one of the many prescriptions that I was prescribed. In March of 2024, I began expressing concern for my ADHD as I had developed a hyperfixation/mental interest on the weekly ad at where I work, mainly because of the pictures that were goofy in there, which is pretty funny, which mainly looked fake or AI generated to me. Sorry about that. I even emailed them several times about it, providing my feedback. I even started a successful campaign to remove a sexual-looking image of zucchini or yellow squash from the ad, which vanished into thin air and I never saw again. I was prescribed Adderall, then sent on my way. Unfortunately, it did not work and I was taken off it a month later. The next month, I came back expressing concerns about my mood being unstable and how I suspected I could have bipolar disorder. I was prescribed a mood stabilizer/anticonvulsant called lamotrigine. With the medication, I was started at 25 milligrams with the goal to titrate up 25 milligrams every 2 weeks. Unfortunately, I had to be patient as it took about a month for it to work. During this time, I remember that I was still having anxiety and panic attacks and really bad anger. I remember being at work one time and I experienced a panic attack right before I was about to help a customer out. I began experiencing dizziness and I felt impending doom. As quickly as it began, it stopped. I would continue to have these panic attacks to the point where I would leave work early sometimes. Eventually, this led to me getting admitted to IOP. I was admitted for quote-unquote depression and anxiety, panic attack, as it said on my discharge paperwork. During the program, we learned coping skills and strategies to deal with our mental health. In August of 2024, I was discharged for the first time and received my diagnosis. The day was rough for me as it was a lot to process. This diagnosis changed my life in many ways that I didn't expect. Unfortunately, my anxiety and panic attacks continued as well, and during this time, I was pushed to the max dosage of Boostpar, which gave me severe and debilitating heart palpitations, which rendered me unable to work. I took a leave of absence and even tried FMLA leave, which got denied because I had to work 1,000 hours in that year. This was not my first rodeo with it, however, on IOP, as I had the bright idea to go off the Prozac, as I thought the boost part was working. However, it didn't work, and I got really bad withdrawal symptoms that consisted of irritability, anxiety, dysphoria/euphoria, dizziness, dissociation/me feeling detached from myself and my identity. I felt like my body had left my soul sometimes, and I was feeling like I was drunk. Unfortunately, I ended up going back on it, and then I tried again, which sent me into a hypomanic episode. On my paperwork, it was described as bipolar disorder with depression, referring to my most recent episode. The journey didn't end there, though, as my doctor started talking about antipsychotic medication, which I had to go get blood work for. After many delays, I got the blood work, as a trip to Virginia, Hurricane Milton, and my dad's truck breaking down twice delayed it. My doctor's first choice for the antipsychotic was Abilify. I heard many great things about it, and I was very excited to try it. However, I didn't last long on it, as I developed tardive dyskinesia, suicidal ideation, as well as worsening depression. To further rectify this, my dosage was bumped up from 5 milligrams to 10 milligrams, and then eventually 15, which was the halfway point to the max dosage per day of 30 milligrams. The tardive dyskinesia was so disabling I couldn't work, and as a result, I took another leave of absence. Like the Adderall, as quickly as I was put on it, I was quickly taken off of it after 2 months. This time we tried Vraylar, and this time it actually worked. I was put on the lowest dose of 1.5 milligrams, and as of me writing this script, it really works for me. In addition to this, my Prozac was switched out for Effexor XR. Like the Vraylar, it took some time to work, but the results were worth it for me. Also, 3 months before this, I began seeing my first therapist after my doctor pushed for me to have an individual therapist following my second IOP discharge. However, though, after about 6 months or so, my therapist announced that she was leaving to start her own practice. I know that I could have just gone to her new practice, but I wanted to stay consistent with the program that had therapists to match me up with. Initially, I was seeing my therapist 4 times a month, aka once a week. After realizing that it was getting expensive per month, $100 per month plus my monthly doctor appointments with my mental health doctor, we downgraded to twice a month with my new therapist. As a result, this means that I can keep an eye open availability for work, and I just have to send a time off request whenever I have a therapy session, so they don't either schedule me for that day or just that I'm available after that hour time slot. Therapy has honestly saved my life as well as medication. Today I am on 4 medications, one of which I started 3 weeks ago that I will discuss in this video. In addition to this, where am I now? I'm mostly stable for the most part, and I am about to embark on a new journey, weight loss. During the first 7 months of me starting lamotrigine, my weight pummeled to 180 within 7 months, followed by more weight gain in a few months close to 200 pounds. I was 191 at my heaviest. I had always wanted to lose weight and achieve a goal weight of 120 pounds since this happened. Why this occurred was because my appetite skyrocketed, and my dad described it as me eating half a pizza in one go. For example, I went to my PCP in July of this year expressing my concerns about my weight. This was about a year and a half or so after South Park, a show that I like, aired a special called The End of Obesity, which focused on one of the main characters, the infamous Cartman, trying to obtain weight loss medication for his weight after a trip to the doctor's office. The special parodies and satirizes the ozempic craze, which is a medication meant for diabetes that was soon prescribed for weight loss after realizing that it also helped in that field. Unfortunately, there are many hurdles that mainly manifest in navigating the American healthcare system, which I can also relate to. Thankfully, I wasn't prescribed Lizzo, aka a nod to the body positivity movement, which I disagree with as it celebrates and glorifies obesity and glorifies mental health issues. Not mental health, glorifies health issues associated with obesity. My main reason for wanting to go on weight loss medication was that I just wanted my life back, and I don't want my life to be overtaken by health issues associated with it. Like the antipsychotic, I was required to go get blood work. Unfortunately, it took a while to get the results. When I came back to go for the blood work results, my doctor put a prescription in for Wegovy, which got denied twice by my dad's insurance. So, like in the special above, we had to navigate fighting for the medication, which, even after my dad explained the benefits, he was still denied. I remember when I got the text saying the prescription was denied by my insurance and called for further info. Even after trying again, I lost all hope. I continued to have dreams of what my life would be like if I wasn't fat, which others have told me that I am not fat. I am as a result of the weight gain associated with the lamotrigine. The medication isn't even supposed to do that as it's weight neutral. I went up 3 pant sizes and 3 bra sizes. I was incredibly unhappy with myself, which led to me having body image issues, and at my heaviest weight, 191, BMI of 35, and as a result, I had class 2 obesity. I was unhealthy and I knew it. At this point, I was fluctuating between 188 and 190 pounds. My doctor suggested that I add more protein into my diet, which the week before I was due to pick up the prescription, I actually lost 4 pounds on. My first week was smooth sailing, but I dropped 5 pounds that week, with most of it being water weight. Week 2 had a bump in the road with me vomiting at work, but I felt better afterwards. As of this week, I have dropped an additional pound and lost 11 pounds overall. I do get discouraged at times when the scale doesn't move, aka a plateau, or when the scale goes back up, but that's just life. We need to celebrate the non-scale victories, aka an NSV. Thanks for watching this video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share this with a friend or someone that may need it, and subscribe. See you next time. Bye!